Hey gang, it's your GM Drakeen here with another video. This one's about downtime activities. So this idea, and this image comes from one of my groups forming Waterdeep Dungeons the Mad Mage on Start Playing. So I got the idea of downtime activities from a server, a Westmarch server, that did a really amazing job with downtime activities. They would have a number of work weeks. So each character is assumed to get one work week of downtime for each real life week that passes. So if, a week passes in the real world, you get a week of downtime. You could spend it how you wanted. Now, again, this came from a West March server that I played on for a little while, and had some really amazing DMs on, and they handled this. I thought it was pretty amazing how they did this each week. They would process everyone on the server's downtime through this particular chat, and it was whatever they had specifics for every single one of them. But downtime comes from Xanathars. So that's where a lot of this stuff is based. It's not 100% following Xanathars, just FYI. So let's run through these downtime activities. Buying a magic item. So for this one, I have a kind of list that I've put together. Characters always want to ask, can I buy this? Can I buy that? Can I get this? Can I get that? Okay. So what I did is I created a list here. And it's a PDF that I give players. At the beginning of the list is a list of sort of like items that have been recently added, like a lot of the common items were new, and how much they cost. Also some homebrew items here, and then it gets into the more formal magical items here, starting with consumables. This is potions, even like things like necklace of fireballs, how much those things cost. This is the price here in gold, and these are based on 2014 prices, so a lot of this stuff might need to be updated slightly. Keep that in mind. Like, I've updated these things, that's why they're crossed out. I put them at the beginning. But you can go through the list, see how much everything costs. As you can see, a +1 sword starts at 1,000. Okay, so it's not cheap. And it runs through even the most exotic types of items here, not all of which obviously are always guaranteed to be available. Another thing you might want to buy, and I would strongly encourage you to buy, are spell components for spells you don't even have yet. Okay, a lot of people forget to buy spell components. So I made a list of every single spell component for pretty much every spell in the game. You can just buy it. Some of them you have to custom make. All right, so that cost is included in here too. So if you want, you know, uh, to make sure you have all your spell components and don't want to be in a situation where you're like, okay, I want to cast a spell. It's like, okay, do you have the component? Now, some of the components don't cost anything. It's for the ones that you specifically have a cost, or it says the spell component is expended. Okay. You can also buy spell scrolls, which is a pretty useful item here. Buying different, if you know you're going to need a scroll of a specific type, you can pick it up. They're not that, by comparison, they're not that expensive, right? And then, potions are up here. Now, these are the potions that really that are not in the Dungeon Master's Guide that I've kind of added. So that's that. Let's move on. Carousing. Okay, so this is more about making connections, and it's also to note, you'll see in Xanathars, if you look and read Xanathars, it will say there are complications for all of these. Okay, almost all of them anyway. One of the complications for carousing is you can end up married. You could be the victim of a pickpocket. You can get into a brawl. Things like that. But you can also make some really valuable connections. Of course, depending on where you carouse, and it does cost money to carouse. You do have a lot of these have upfront costs. Like okay, how much money are you going to spend when you go out on the town? 10 gold pieces, 50 gold pieces. You can even spend more. And of course, if you spend more, you have access to higher class people, generally speaking, right? Crafting. So generally, when it talks about crafting, it's talking about potion making, and when it's talking about potion making, it's talking about generally specific types of potions for in Xanathars, like healing potions or things that have a healing kind of nature, like antitoxin. And then it'll list the cost of making such an item here. So if you're making a healing potion, it costs 25 gold pieces. Again, upfront costs to make a potion, but then of course you buy potions for 50, right? Um, Same for greater healing. Cost is 100 to make. Takes a work week to make, and they generally sell for 200, right? So that's specifically crafting. Moving on. So this obviously is crime. This woman is breaking into what appears to be a halfling house. That's a very low door. Um, Crime actually has upfront costs as well. So, depending on what type of crime you engage in, you put up a certain amount of money. I think there's a maximum for it, and the results can be varied. You can end up with some very bad results, but you can also do well. So that's crime. Um, a lot of complications with crime, and of course, this is gambling. Similar thing. How much you going to risk? How much money are you putting up to gamble with? You know, and the results can vary. You can end up with a lot more or not so much. Now, uh, you know, different, and you'll look, obviously, like things like gambling can be influenced by things like intellect, charisma, that sort of thing. Uh, Whereas the next one, pit fighting, is, it's better for like fighter types, right? If you've got like a martial character, then this is kind of like it can be a way to make some money. Now you never know who you're going to be fighting, right? You might fight someone who's really dangerous, and just end up with nothing. But I used to use pit fighting like religiously on the West March server for one of my characters, and it was a good way to make some gold during the week, right? So yeah, you might want to look into that. This is obviously religious service, and doing favors for religious organizations can have some benefits. You can get some favors, that sort of thing, and it varies. The results can vary as well. Next would be this is research, and this is very, very valuable if you need to find something out as a character, if you spend a lot of time doing this sort of thing. Um, and I believe there are costs up front with this as well. Each of these again has, potentially complications. Research, of course, the complications aren't as severe as say crime, right, or gambling. But the results vary. Moving right along. Again, this is scribing or making a spell scroll. So say you want to make some scrolls, okay? Or you could just buy them, right? But if you want to write some, and I think one of these would also fall. It takes a long time for wizards to transfer spells, or scribe a scroll into their spell book. It takes hours and hours and hours. So that could be part of this as well, for your downtime activity. And again, these, downtime is mostly for um, the group forming, but it's helpful because, you can get some things for your character during downtime, right? Now, obviously, at the start of the game, you're not going to be able to sell magic items, right? Because you don't, if you're just starting out, you're not going to have anything to really sell. However, keep in mind, and I'll get into greater detail in this, I have a lot of private collectors, so you might find some trinket or something that doesn't look very valuable to you, like some rare mushroom or fungi or beetle or butterfly or something like that. Um, there are private collectors for almost everything in the game, and they will give you magic items for a lot of rare, unusual things that you might find. It could be documents from an ancient civilization. It could be artwork. It could be on any number of things. Once you get into like Netherese items, it could be even more valuable, right? They would, a lot of these private collectors will give you magic items for uh, even items that you would consider mundane, right? Moving on. So next, this is training, right? So training is usually for languages and toolkits. Like if you want to learn a specific language, now it is pretty expensive because you have to spend have to spend really weeks and weeks learning something, right? And then once you finish all those weeks, you get a new skill, or you get a new toolkit, or you get a new language. Okay, um, so that's a big investment if you want to do that. And of course, if all else fails and you just want to make a few coin, you could always just work, right? Doesn't make uh, you obviously don't make a ton working. You just get a steady income, pretty much. And that's it. So yeah, I wanted to do this for my players who are waiting for groups to form. I've got basically 3 games up now, 2 of which are ongoing. Rime of the Frost Maiden, Tomb of Annihilation are ongoing. And the bottom one, Mad Mage, is currently forming. I'm also forming another Tomb game, which is also forming. I think we just got our second person for that. Thanks for watching. Please like the video and subscribe. Take care.